Summer Edition. Hey, it's Malish and welcome back. I've just had the busiest summer ever and I would like to share with you the coolest science camp I've ever been to. If you guess it, yes, it's吴健雄Science Camp. This science camp is taught annually by Wu Jianxiong Education Foundation, an organization in honor of the Chinese-American physicist, Madam Wu Jianxiong. This foundation invites notable professors from both Taiwan and around the world to deliver lectures to students every summer. If it hadn't been a pandemic, there would have been 1 or 2 Nobel Prize-winning professors. That's mind-blowing, right? Well, this whole camp is. Lots of the attendees have taken part in science Olympiads and even more from gifted classes all around Taiwan. But don't worry, there are still a lot of students from normal classes like me, so there's no need to feel stressed out. Creativity is just as important as knowledge when it comes to innovation, so use yours well, don't be afraid. Plus, students from gifted classes are willing to share their knowledge, so you might learn even more from the camp than they do. By the way, learning is definitely not the only thing you're doing at camp. You're gonna play a lot and even walk a lot because the place you're staying in is incredibly stunning. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. The camp is held high in a mountain, which is super hard to reach, so we don't actually have to go there by ourselves. There will be buses from the north, middle, and south part of Taiwan to get us there. After the arrival and the first meal, we had our welcoming night. Usually, there'd be some group performances, but due to the pandemic, we had a science trivia and an English word game instead. After the welcoming night, we had our group time, so let me tell you something about this group thing. We have 12 groups in total. Each group has 11 to 12 students and is led by the counselor who had been to the camp before. Aside from eating together and sitting in the same row during lecture, groupmates also initiate fun activities together. Like for this first night, we played Never Have I Ever and Truth or Dare to know each other better. Oh, and we have to stay in the auditorium during these activities, and staying after midnight is prohibited due to some complaints before. Yeah, we can't be too loud either. By the way, I should give you a room tour because unlike normal summer camps, we stay in a hotel. The hotel we stayed in is Selingsi Hotel, which is located in the mountain of Nano County. And here's our room of 4. In the bathroom, we have an electric bidet and hot water in the shower comes out so fast, it's amazing. Here we got a water dispenser in the room. It's a nostalgic type, but this room facility is just so dope. And here's a TV you can turn around, but we don't really watch it actually. And down here is a heater because it's super cold here, even in summer. Those are our beds, and here's some snack called bamboo shoot biscuit, which is super great and can be refilled every single day. We eat a lot in this camp. For our first meal every day, we have buffet for breakfast. Afterwards, we have our first lecture of the day. This is a speech about how to adapt to the rapid changing world better. The professor's answer to one of the questions inspired me a lot. When taking part in a subject we're not professional in, don't be afraid. We're not limited by the conventional ideas, so we can be more creative. After every lecture, we have some snacks. There are a bunch of fruits and pastries to feast on, and they're amazing. Their oolong tea is great too. The second lecture is a speech about how plants adapt to the environment by allocating its nutrients in different ways. We came to an interesting conclusion that nitrate, which is a non-organic compound, can actually be transported in phloem. And then we have lunch. For lunch, we share foods with our group mates. After lunch, we have a lecture conducted by Professor Wing Nip. It was about exoplanets and their climates, as well as the probability of finding extraterrestrial lives. Afterwards, we have some more goodies, but at the same time, we're preparing for the next session, which is asking questions. We have to write down our inquiries on these given papers, and then they're sent to some professors and be graded. Since it's a part of the camp competition, I think I should elaborate on it some bit more. So, after every lecture, these ones, not the speeches, we have Q&A sessions here. Like I said, our questions are graded by some professors and only the questions with high scores can be asked publicly during a session. After each session, we get a score, the average score of all of our own questions, which means you don't get higher scores by having more questions.
So if you want to score high, ask wisely. After all of the 4 Q&A sessions, we can earn up to 40 points for the competition. So good luck! Very luckily, my question was chosen. I asked about our criteria determining if the exoplanet is habitable. I feel that the criteria are all based on humans' condition and might not necessarily be the case somewhere else. The professor said that my suspicion was correct because they have found some organisms on Earth that live in quite extreme conditions and might be the origin of many lives on Earth. And then we have dinner. It's just similar to lunch. Here's something cool. Every night we have science workshops and we can choose one from the 6 topics to attend. As for which one we're attending, we have to fight for the ticket. This time we have 2 tickets for each workshop per group and we just pick our favorite one. If there are too many people wanting the same topic, some comeback will be required. Today I'm attending the one about stars. Welcome to our science workshop. During today's workshop, we learned about some radio wave telescopes set up in Chile, as well as the life cycle of a star. And then we have some more snacks at night. See? We have up to 6 meals a day. At night, we gathered in a room and played Gartic and Mafia, and it was so much fun. Actually, we weren't supposed to drop by someone else's room, but it just happened, so... This morning, we had a lecture conducted by Professor Yifang Cai. It was about how plants sense the changes nearby in response to the abnormality. Well, my question wasn't chosen this time, but there were some intriguing ones asked by others. For example, this student used calculus to refute something the professor has said. It's just cool to see how high school students can come up with such creative ideas. After lunch, we had a field trip to some mountains nearby. It was foggy and a bit rainy, but the forest was stunning. We had a marvelous time chatting in the woods, learning about the nature deep in the mountains. For the science workshop today, I had a lecture about Higgs boson, also known as the God particle, which is believed to generate mass to other particles. It was the day before Qixi, aka the Chinese Valentine's Day, so we went hiking to the nearby Yuelao Temple, the temple worshipping the god that brings luck in relationship. After the visit, one of the professors suggested an experiment, having over 100 students meditating in a quiet, dark mountain. It was a bit horrifying at first because it was so dark we couldn't see anything, but later I found it quite enjoyable, and it's just super cool to have a bunch of cool people traveling together and doing crazy stuff like such. It's amazing. This morning we went hiking again to a waterfall nearby. The mountain is still stunning early in the morning and the sunlight was just incredible. And it's even more breathtaking if you can witness it in person. It's awesome. The lecture this morning was conducted by Professor Zhiming He, and it was about using artificial intelligence to realize personalized medicine. They used AI PRS function to help find the best prescription for each patient, and the function is also likely to solve problems in other fields, such as making alloys. After the lecture, we took a photo together outside. This is a tradition of吴健雄science camp, to take a picture with students standing in the shape of that year. They used a drone to capture the whole view and it was so cool. And now's the Q&A session again. My question this time was about how to utilize this function in different fields, and it turns out that it isn't as simple as I thought at first. We still need to conduct experiments in order to get the coefficient for the function. Also, if the graph drawn by AI according to the function isn't parabolic, everything won't work. After lunch, we had the fourth lecture, conducted by Professor Vigorian. It was mostly about propeller use when traveling in space. This time, I asked about a seemingly cool application that I saw before, sending aeroplanes into outer space for some moments to reduce air resistance and then minimize traveling time. I wonder if that idea is possible, and the answer was no, because it requires too much power and a commercial plane cannot accommodate that much of fuel. Oh, this is one of my favorite parts of the science camp. So, students can talk to the professors either during or after each meal, and the professors are all so amazing. We learned a lot from them. We've discussed some controversial topics such as genetic modification and genetic engineering. It was really intriguing to take a look at the expert's point of view. It was a truly inspiring experience. Tonight, I attended a workshop that is conducting an experiment. We're using Arduino to observe how phenolphthalein changes color in strong base. Actually, we have some poster stuff on the 5th day, and it's also a part of the camp competition, so let's go! We can choose anything from the 4 lectures we've had before to get creative. You can either do it by yourself or finish this task with your friends. Or if you have time, you can do both, because the 2 options have their own pros and cons. If you do it in a team, it's good to have more people sharing ideas, and there's a chance to win one of the competition, with winning groups earning 10,000 NTD. The downside is that the score you get from the poster has to be divided into the number of people on your team. On the other hand, making posters on your own is super tiring and is not qualified for that time to impress, but you can keep all of the scores again. Yep, the highest score from all of the posters you made will be added to the score you earned from the Q&A sessions. With that total score, you can earn an even more tempting prize. Also up to 10,000 NTD, but you get to keep it all. There are also some other prizes you can win from this poster stuff, so everyone stays up late this night to work on the posters. And then it was late enough for the fog to dissipate, so we went to the roof to go stargazing. It was breathtaking. Indeed. Now, cameras can capture how full the sky was. We wanted to, just grab some chairs and sleep on the roof right under the stars, but it was so cold at night, so it didn't happen though. After we went stargazing, we kept working on the poster until like 6 a.m. I stayed up all night until dawn for the very first time, and it was crazy. We made 5 pages of poster at last, and it was so satisfying. Well, we still have one more morning to finish our poster while the teachers attend some other speeches, so we still have snacks this morning. My new friends and I spent a wonderful time on the roof, indulging in the marvelous view from top of the hotel. Selling Sea indeed have amazing scenery for everyone to enjoy. And it's time to showcase our posters. The topics are divided into 3 groups: biology, chemistry, and physics. Our team enrolled for biology with an idea of using xylem as pumps, but in fact we found it super inefficient, to be honest. There are some super creative ones, such as applying that AIPRS function to relationships. They even listed out possible parameters, and that's totally crazy. Actually, I was so tired that day, and I forgot to shoot lots of parts, including the meals and the best night in a camp. Although I only slept for like 1 hour the previous night, we managed to stay up late, gather in a room, play Mafia, and then went stargazing one last time. It was fantastic. Definitely a night to remember. Just too bad that I didn't record it. Although we didn't go to bed until like 2:30, we got up at 4:30 to go hiking for the last time. This time we traveled an hour to take a look at an even more breathtaking waterfall. Yes, basically we hiked so much throughout the science camp. Afterwards, we had our last breakfast in the camp. And then we headed to our farewell party. There were some awardings and shows by professional performers, yet the best is still that parody by our counselors. And then there was a super random performance. So, one of the male professor is an alumnus of Taipei First Girls High School, and there were about 30 students from TFG. So he invited all students and alumni from TFG to go on stage and sing our school anthem. As you see, lots of staffs and counselors and even professors are alumni as well, and the stage was so crowded. I've never thought about singing school anthem in a science camp. It was so random and insane, but it was so much fun. And then we had our last meal in a camp. We had buffet for this last lunch, and yeah, say hi to my group mates. And then we all headed back to where we came from. It was such a wondrous journey. We learned a lot, played a lot, ate a lot, and hiked a lot. If you have a chance, you must attend the science camp. I'd like to give some advice to those who would like to come. First, keep your mind busy with information before the camp. I was super inactive in any academic activities before the camp, so at first I was sort of unable to absorb that much information. I felt kind of bad as I couldn't react as fast as others. So yeah, keep your mind busy. Next, bring some long sleeves and trousers because it's super cold in the mountain. It was only about 14 to 18 degrees Celsius in August, which is way colder than most of the cities. Bring some extension cords as well because there are only 4 power outlets in a room of 4, and yeah, most people have more than one device to charge.
Next, a little tip. If you want to go stargazing, the 7th floor is the better option than the 6th floor because there's no light at all. Just that you have to find a secret passage up there. Last but not least, if you're a girl, you might have a chance to go to the camp for free. You only have to submit a brief biography and motivation beforehand, and then write some feedbacks afterwards to get qualified. And yeah, that's it. It's such a long video, and I really hope that whoever is attending Ubuntu Science Camp can be inspired like I did. So yeah, adios!